Yeah, g'day YouTubers. Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Today I've got 4 chains, but it's only 3 chains that I'm really interested in talking about. I went out and I brought another 2 .325 of an inch chainsaw chain, 80 drive links. So now we've got the 50 gauge, 80 drive links, the 058 gauge, 80 drive links, and the 063, which I already had there, 80 drive links. Now, I was talking the other day about these chains, and someone turned around and said, oh, they're all got the same kerf, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the same width, the tooth is exactly the same. And I thought, well, that don't make sense to me. Why would you have 3 different gauges with the same width tooth? There's no point. Anyway, so I've got the 2 and I've done the measurements, and we'll start off on the 050 gauge. Definitely it is thinner, between 3.7 and 3.8 millimeters in width, and the chain weighs 309 grams. That is a 80 drive link. The second one is 058, and it jumped up to around 4.1 millimeters in width, and it came in at 313 grams, so only 5 grams heavier. And as I say, it was around 4.1 millimeters, say 4.1. The next one, and the tooth length on all of these is around 9.5, 9.8 millimeters in length. And the last one, which is the 063 gauge, it was about 4.2 millimeters wider, just slightly a bit wider. There's a bit of variation, yeah, a 0.1 of a mil here, 0.1 of a, or 0.2 of a mil, 0.1 of a mil. So there's a bit of variation in them. They're not all perfect because they're all stamped out. They're made on millions of them in high production. So a slight little bit of variation, but nonetheless, it came out wider, and the chain weighed 322 grams. So we've gone from 50 thou gauge weighing 309 grams, 58 thou gauge weighing 313, and 063 gauge weighing 322, with approximately all the same length in the teeth. So there's definitely a little bit of difference there. Not a huge deal of difference between the 058 and the 063, but definitely on the 50 thou, it was only, as I said, between 3.7 and 3.8 millimeters in wide. So that beats 4.1 millimeters, which is what the 058 gauge was. So it makes me still wonder, why would you have these 3? You know, I'm still sort of trying to rack my brains out that there's not a huge deal of difference in the weight. You're going from 309 to 322, and you're going from 3.7 to 3.8 millimeters in width on the kerf for the 50 thou, and up to the 63. You know, you're going up slightly, 322 grams, and about 4.2 millimeters wide in kerf. Can't really see the point. That's my... I just think it's a waste of time having 3 gauges. I can't see the real necessity of having the 3 gauges. The weight, it's certainly not a weight issue because it's not much. Now, the chain, that does make a difference. The last chain here is your standard 3/8, which is exactly the same length, but the difference is, rather than have 80 drive links on here, and they're exactly the same length as this, you've got 72 drive links. So if I was to put 2 up together, the 3/8 and the 0.325, you'll see they're the same length. Now, what I'll do, I'll just set it off up camera. I'm going to put the 0.325s all beside each other, and we'll turn the camera back on, and you see if you can pick which is the thinnest one. There's not a lot in it, but we'll just see how good you are. Anyway, on with that. Okay, so I've got these 4 chains lined up, and I think you should be able to pick which is these ones here, these three in a row here are the 0.325, and this is the 3/8 chain. You can see that the tooth is wider. Now the question that I'll ask you, which is the thinnest out of these three chains here? Which has the most narrow kerf? I'll give you a minute to look at it, because you've got 50 thou, 58 thou, and 63. Little bit different to pick the 63 and the 58, because they are fairly close, but one is slightly wider than the other. But if you pick the middle one as the 050, the 50 thou, that's the thinnest. And that's clearly, visibly, that you can see that with your eye. So it brings me back to the point what I was talking about before, that I really can't see the difference why you've got 3 gauges in 325. I've been trying to rack my brain out as to figure out what is the huge benefit when the only one that's a bit thinner is the 50 thou. So I can understand having 2 gauges, the 50 thou and this one, but this and this tooth, there's not much difference in it. The difference is in the drive links for sure. There's 80 drive links versus 72. So there's definitely a lot more cutters in 0.325. But nonetheless, I don't know the history of 0.325. I know a lot of the pro saws in the steel range use it. I don't know when it was introduced, whether it's been around for 30, 40 years, and when it first was introduced, was it primarily aimed at weight reduction? There is a slight weight reduction, but certainly nothing to write home about. So yeah, that's my take on it. There is a little bit of difference. Now that's on this particular chain, it's Hurricane chain. If you go to a different manufacturer, it could be slightly different. Not every chain manufacturer is going to stick to certain specifications. So everybody can have a variation. Oregon could have a variation than Steel, and Steel have got a different variation than Archer, and Archer have got a different variation to Carlton. But, you know, the pitch may be the same, but the tooth geometry could be just slightly different. And the width could, the kerf could be just slightly different as well. Anyway, I've brought the chains. I'm not impressed. I can't see a huge benefit from it. Someone may be able to tell me as to why you've got 3 different chains that are the same pitch, and the only real big difference is in the 050 gauge, which is definitely visually smaller than what the other 2 are. There is a slight difference between them, but visually 0.1, 0.2 of a millimetre maximum between this one and that one, which is the 058 and the 063. Not much really in it. You wouldn't even know hardly. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.